European Union leaders have agreed to cut 90% of oil imports from Russia by the end of this year. This decision cuts off a vital source of funding for Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Two-thirds of Russian oil imported into the EU is delivered by tanker and one-third by Druzhba pipeline. According to the plan, by the end of the year, Poland and Germany, which are also connected to the pipeline, will stop accepting Russian oil deliveries, and all of this will make the cut to about 90%. But what about the rest 10%? The remaining 10% for now will be exempt from sanctions so that Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic, which are all connected to the pipeline, continue to have access to the Russian fuel that they cannot easily replace. Hungary is part of EU from 2004, but currently it is acting as the biggest roadblock to ban Russian oil. And Hungary's nationalist government and one of the most friendly to Moscow says it will not support any sanction that target Russian energy export. Hungary is heavily reliant on Russian oil and gas and says the EU oil boycott would be an atom bomb for its economy and destroy its stable energy supply. The country gets 85% of its natural gas and more than 60% of oil from Russia. And in my research, I found out that the government of Hungary is not lying. They need Russian oil. The landlocked country has no seaport to receive global oil shipments and must rely on pipelines. Plus, a flagship government program to reduce power bills depends on the relative low cost of Russian oil. Low power cost is the reason why Orban was elected as the prime minister of the country by the middle class population. And the last major reason is converting Hungary's oil refineries and pipelines to process oil from non-Russian sources would take 5 years and require a massive investment. And that would further drive up high energy prices, leading to shutdowns and unemployment. But a lot of experts highly doubt that the plan by EU leaders will be successful. And even if the plan succeeds at the end of the year, Russia has other options left. For example, Raman Krishnamurthy, a professor of petroleum engineering at University of Houston, said the impact to ban 90% of Russian oil on Russia might not be as significant as thought by the EU because countries such as India and China are stepping in. These countries will be able to purchase cheap Russian oil at even lower prices than in the recent months. And not only India and China, Iran and Venezuela have also entered the chat, and they will benefit from the ban as Russia will look to discount the oil and sell it to other nations. European Council Chief Charles Michel said in a tweet that this step to boycott oil will put maximum pressure on Russia to end the current war. But currently, if we look at the situation, it seems that Russia is not in a bad place. They should end the war, but it won't be because of economic pressures, especially related to oil ban. And another huge update is coming from the war. Ukraine has identified more than 600 Russian war crime suspects and has started persecuting about 80 of them. The list of suspects includes top military, politicians and propaganda agents of Russia. In total, Ukraine had identified 15,000 war crime cases across the country since Russian invasion on February 24th. And on average, 300 to 400 cases are added every day. A Ukrainian court has sentenced two captured Russian soldiers to more than 11 years in jail, each for shelling a civilian area. And if you are following the Russia war closely, you must have seen the photo of a 21-year-old Russian. So what's his story? A court in Kyiv has sentenced the 21-year-old Russian soldier to life in prison for killing an unarmed Ukrainian civilian. Vadim Shishi-Marin was accused of shooting 62-year-old Ukrainian civilian in the head in a village in northeast Sumy region. In the early days of war, he was caught when he was trying to enter the Russian border in a stolen car. He apologized and asked the civilian's widow for forgiveness. Russia has denied targeting civilians or involvement in war crimes. But according to a lot of neutral reports by intelligence agency, it seems like Russia is lying.